if I could argue against that, I think my argument is that, do you remember like pre-Trump, we just didn't have to talk about politics? Like we just have to talk about it. It was just
God, I
because
miss
they were
that.
all adults, even if we didn't like them or agree with them at all. Like if you agreed with them like 0%, you didn't have to talk about them because you knew that they were adults. Trump like isn't an adult, you know? And I mean that even lovingly, but like he's not. And so you have to like keep your eyes on him at all times. Whereas like Obama or Bush or anybody, like you knew that they were adults, so you could just ignore them, you know? I don't know.
And I don't know if
What do you
it's
think, Ann?
because of Trump or if it's because of the internet, but I am definitely sick of everyone being interested in politics
Oh,
like it's a soap opera.
me too. And yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah. I miss not having to care. Yeah.
Yeah, I worked at a newspaper between 2000 and 2005, working on reporting local politics. We were the first people who reported on Barack Obama's political work. You know how much time we spent outside of work discussing politics? Zero! We'd go out for a
Yeah.
drink afterwards and we would talk about everything, like music, sports, everything else in the world. And we were the people who were supposed to be the most interested in politics. Once we were done being forced to be interested in it for the day, done, nada, no more. And now every fucking 80 IQ or even worse, 110 IQ jackass knows how everyone else in the world should live and vote. And I just, no, shut up. Shut up. Don't want to hear it anymore.
This reminds me of when I was working for a Republican think tank, and all of us, we had to crank out basically emails where we were pretending to be the presidential or the senator candidates, and we had to, use their voice and act like we were them, and we'd send out these nice emails as these politicians, like, hello, this is so-and-so, just reminding you to vote for me so we can stop all those evil liberals. And that was my job. And yeah, after we were done working, we would just like all go out and eat pizza and talk about sports, which I also knew nothing about. So I would just be like scrolling Instagram. I was at the after work parties with my normie colleagues, but we definitely were not talking about politics.
Yeah, and at least if you don't know anything about sports, people are not going to call you a murderer for not knowing anything about sports. Like, silence is violence. You should get excited about sports. Like, no, I shouldn't.
So politics, people on the left, they accuse you of being a murderer if you're silent. Is that still happening? They're still doing the silence is violence thing?
Yeah, well, I don't know if they're doing it today, but you've heard this slogan repeatedly over the past few years.
How is silence violence? Like, I want to understand it from a left-wing perspective. Is it like if you don't speak out against Trump wanting to stop immigration, you are a violent murderer? Like, help me understand it.
Yeah, well, I mean, the surface meaning, I think, is, if you're silent about, for example, police brutality in the United States, which statistically is more likely to happen to a white criminal than to a black criminal. But, the fact that they're completely wrong aside, if you're not complaining about this, that means you're complicit. But what they actually mean is, if you don't take partisan action on our behalf, we will exert social pressure and even economic pressure until you do. And so regardless of whether we're right or wrong, we're going to bully you into acting as though we were right. And we're not just going to even let you mind your own business. We're going to harass you unless you join us.
Wow, I can't imagine why so many people are making I left the left videos on YouTube to become famous influencers.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
Well, this is why everybody is into politics now, is because there's so much pressure to be into politics. And you combine that with the election season, and we have like a political mania happening. It's a frenzy. It's a frenzy. Everybody has gone insane.
everyone like makes the stakes so high. It's like the country's ending. Not like a couple of rights might get a little shitty for some minority groups. It's like the country is ending. It's like it's oh. So it feels like the climax of a movie. You know what I mean? It's like we're all
Yeah.
in the middle of an
I
action movie,
miss.
and we reach the climax, and then we're about to go into just like, oh, movie's over because whoever wins, it's going to be the end of something.
The
Yeah, I mean, they have to get us.
beginning.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, it's like the Fukuyama, the end of history. Nothing ever happens. And now it's like everything always happens. It's the beginning of history. So we're apparently at the fourth, fifth, sixth turning. I'll have to like consult my straws, about which turning we're at. It might just be the fourth. We might just be at the fourth turning right now. I forget there's a lot of turnings. And then I'm remembering like that song that they played in the first Gump soundtrack, like for every season.
Oh yeah.
Wait, was that
Every
about
season
politics?
there is a riot.
That was straight out of Ecclesiastes, actually. There was a season turn.
Okay, so was that about politics, or was that just about like the weather?
I think they were just high when they wrote that song and reading the Bible because they didn't have an internet to look at while they were high back then in the 60s. I mean, my theory is everyone is so sucked into the internet that we don't have like a local like office politics or personal politics. Like when I was working at that newspaper and we were having real lives outside of politics on a day-to-day basis, your politics were like your office politics with the people you knew, the people you were dating, the people in the office, the people in your family. And we've gotten so sucked into the internet that we don't have that sort of tribal social web on a local basis because we're all on the internet. So, okay, what changes every day that everyone in the world can be part of this soap opera and comment on it and, flip the letters that make the internet go and give people money for being willing nexuses of this shit show? Well, it's politics. We have these elections. There's a drama built into it. Every 4 years, we have a crescendo of drama, and there's, teams, there's enemies, there's backstabbing within parties. So you've got this whole like little drama factory set up. And so everybody can plug into that and make money commenting on it. And everyone knows what you're talking about. You get up in the morning and something political has happened and everybody's writing their little bullshit about it and got their little enemies about it. And they make money off of it. Unfortunately, it's real life. And we're turning these dramas into wars and death and bad laws.
The only money I ever made out of politics was when I was working at that shitty Republican think tank. So I think that you have a hot take economy of politics because the job market has collapsed.
Yeah.
You've got like
everybody
all these
wants to be online because all the other jobs suck.
right, or the jobs are being sent offshore, because you've got like some Indian who's willing to work for $5 an hour. So, why hire Americans? So Americans are like kind of forced to become political because they want to join the hot take economy. They think they can like make money with their shitty opinions because, hey, they can't get a job. So, they're going to become political influencers. And very few of them do. So, I mean, you've just got like a bunch of bullshit everywhere on the internet.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see what's stopping us from building a hot take economy around the arts, except, maybe just we're stupid and have no taste.
I'm so down on the arts just because there are no hot takes in the arts. Like people who have hot takes don't like go into arts anymore, which is at least like literature. If you have a hot take, you don't go to literature unless you're like super far left or something like that.
No, the truth, Peter, the truth about this is that there is a hot take economy for the arts, and I've been involved in it, and nobody understands what any of us are talking about. That's why it didn't take off.
Rachel, you're right. You and people in like your orbit, because I do actually see them. You're right. They are a hot take economy in the arts, but you just don't see like if there's a writer in that world, they're not published by like Random House. You know what I mean? So like they don't influence the masses, and it's probably just because the gatekeepers are so goddamn normie.
And also because people just don't understand what we're saying. It just sounds like we're talking in some obscure technobabble to them.
That could be okay though, because like William
don't.
Burroughs, you couldn't understand him like at all, like worth shit back in the day, but he was published in Random House.
I mean that was the 60s. They were all MK Ultra. Okay, so I'm not a political person. I'm more of a meta-political, like weird fringe art type. But I am hoping that if we do get a Trump-Vance administration, that people will be more bold and expressive, and that a lot of the old money rules about how you have to like shut the fuck up to get anything will go away, and we will have, like a more spirited vitalist culture. I mean, call me naive, but I would like to see that.
That'd be nice. I mean, if we could get, like, I'm sure I've talked to you about this before. One of the main reasons I'm tired of listening to the very tired left-right debates is because the more science looks at it, the more obvious it is that it's kind of biologically determined. So people are basically just arguing about something that's kind of akin to race, and it's not going to change. You're not going to change the other half of them. So why don't we like frame this in a slightly different fashion so you don't just have to keep arguing over whether it's better to be, roughly speaking, left-brained or right-brained till the end of time and just keep hitting each other with sticks instead of, for example, going to Mars or, smashing the next asteroid that comes along to destroy all life on Earth. Just a suggestion.
I mean, I'd be happy to go to Mars if Elon would let me. And I mean, he seems pretty bold. So Peter, what do you think about the biological left-right thing that Anne is talking about? Is that politics? Is it just biology?
I mean, I did read Jonathan Haidt's whole book on this, and yeah, I mean, I think it's a pretty solid argument that there are, people sort themselves into the political left and right based upon, Jonathan Haidt talks about like the ick factor. Some people feel an ick factor when they look at like a naked statue of David. Some people are like, those are like conservatives. And other people are like, whoa, that's beautiful. And those are liberals. If you're open-minded, you're probably liberal, that sort of thing. If you're closed-minded and you like small communities and like you like your family, you probably are conservative. So that stuff is totally true. I do think that like one thing that's really weird though in the modern age is everything is so insanely complex that your natural left-right instincts there or conservative liberal instincts there, it doesn't really tell you much about like, I don't know, tariffs or something.
That's
or it doesn't
very
really
true.
tell you about like local zoning laws. So I do think that we have to argue them out and kind of see what works well and see the arguments on both sides. And it's hard to get ideological based on like your biology on I don't know, zoning laws. You know what I mean? Like we have to really have to get into those issues, I think, because our instincts just don't tell us anything about a lot of society now because it's so complex.
That's a really good point, and that like touches on a lot of other things. And I'm not saying it's all biological. And of course, if you're raised in a family that all thinks one way, you might go against your own instincts. I'm just saying it's not just that it's partly biologically determined. I'm also saying that they're both necessary viewpoints, and they keep trying to eliminate each other. Like, the most disturbing thing about the left right now is they clearly want a one-party state. Like, all this importing people from former socialist countries in the hopes that they'll vote on the left, or like voting people who are clearly going to.
See, I don't know that that's true. I think that's a right-wing meme. Because like if someone comes in from another country, they can't automatically vote, and oftentimes their kids, won't vote for 18 years. So I don't know. I actually don't buy that argument.
I don't think it's the motives of everyone, but I'm pretty sure it's the motives of some people. But I mean,
just like
logistically,
I don't think it works. So if they think that, I think that they need to like recrunch that data because it doesn't work.
But like that specific thing aside, I mean, don't you get the sense that they're trying to eliminate each other? Like they just want the other party out of the way. They think they're evil. They think they're misguided or wrong or ill-informed, whatever the reason is. They just want the other party out of the way so that we can do it. But both of those viewpoints are necessary.
Like, oh yeah, no, I agree. I think that's shitty, Anne, that we're trying to like eliminate parties and viewpoints and that's what we're supposed to do here, right? We're supposed to have tons of views and tons of room for